Welcome to Marketing Over Coffee. I'm John Wall,
I'm Christopher Penn.
and we are back here today. So, first, leading off now, for the past couple weeks, we've talked about the ridiculous cold weather, and we've actually had some listeners complaining about us talking about this. And all I can say is, imagine if you lived here. It just kills me. People are like complaining, like, "Oh, I'm complaining about the cold." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. It's every day. You listen to us complain once a week or less." But yeah, I will say enough on that. Unless, oh no, wait, no, that's right. I saw you actually had a mishap cleaning the roof.
Oh yeah, well, I was cleaning my neighbor's roof. I was trying to be a good Samaritan and being a helpful neighbor. Now I won't do that again. No, I was on a ladder and about 8 feet up, hammering ice out of a gutter, and the ladder decided to depart without me. So fortunately, I had the presence of mind to attempt to do a break fall and tuck, and banged up my shins, but nothing permanently damaged or broken.
All right, well that's good. I'm glad to hear you made it out there. I didn't really, yeah, isn't that, of course it's when you're doing the favor for somebody too. The other deadbeat neighbors, of course, couldn't be troubled, and you take the hit. But all right, well, getting into more marketing related stuff. We did a fun one that you had shared this link. Crazy new use for if this then that. I think people are familiar with. It's a cloud-based service where you can kind of start to link together and do some crazy integrations. Like if somebody posts a blog on this, have it throw it over in your Dropbox or whatever. But this was a whole new angle.
So it's three new angles. They released a series of apps, and for those of you who are watching the video either live or whatever, you can program recipes from if this then that. So there's one called Do Button that is just a button. So you would they cite use cases like if you have a Nest thermostat at home, you push a button on your phone and it would automatically change the temperature of your house to 72 degrees or whatever. The one I've been using is Do Note, and what I've got it wired to is I've got it wired to my Evernote account. So when I'm driving or whatever and I got an idea, I can just turn on the voice dictation. I can say, hey, this is my idea for a blog post later. I hit done, and then it will do the voice transcription. I push the big button, and it goes straight to Evernote, which is really nice because it lets me blog ideas on the go without having to load Evernote, start a new note, start the voice dictation and stuff. Things you don't want to do while you're driving around the go. So this is literally just push the button, start talking, and then and you're ready to roll.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll have the link to that in the show notes. People can check that out. It's interesting you mentioned Nest. It's funny. I've seen both on the Nest thermostat and their smoke alarms too. In the past couple of weeks, a lot of complaints about between UX or false alarms. And I don't know. I hate to gloat, but I've always been like, it's cool to report on it, but I'm not going to install 1.0 stuff in my house. When the second version comes out, that's when I'll go. But is there anything else you've been watching on the in-home electronics and connected Internet of Things?
Apparently, the only other thing I noted this past week was that somebody was saying Amazon Echo will now respond with to movie quotes with additional movie quotes from the same movie and stuff. So if you wanted to role play that with your cybernetic overlords. Oh, the other one that was in the news was Samsung sent out a warning saying that don't have sensitive conversations in front of your Samsung Smart TV because it is listening to you all the time.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've seen that before. That people complain about not having one of those in the house. So. Dude, if people want to listen to what goes on in my house, God bless them. They're not going to hear anything but yelling children, pretty much. But that's such as it is. You had Google Flights on the list. What's up there?
So Google has a new service out called Google Flights. Really, it's an extension of their existing sort of flight tracker kind of stuff. So if you go to google.com/flights, let's see if we can pull this up here again for the folks who decide to watch the video. We'll reward them with a little bit more of a multimedia experience here. Screen share we'll do screen 1. So what you got here is the ability to obviously book flights, find out when things are going. What I really like though is the sort of the flight map here. So I can say I'm in Boston. Let's say I want to fly. Let's go the 8th to the 11th, and it shows me what's available, what fares, and then I can do some adjustments. Like, you know what? I don't ever want to fly certain airlines, so I could restrict that. I don't want to go make connections. I want to go direct. So these are all the places from Boston on that date that I could fly to directly. And then I could say, well, I don't really feel like spending $1 million to fly somewhere. So I'm going to say I want to see flights under $600. And so like now I can see the closest I can get away is LA for about $507 direct, and I can cover most of the East Coast, most of the Midwest, and stuff like that. So it's kind of handy as a way to identify. Here's what we see for flights. You can obviously tell if a flight's booked, and you can do round trips and things. You can hit I'm feeling lucky, and hey, look, you can go to Montreal for what's the pricing on this one here? It doesn't actually say. But then you book, you identify which flights you want to book by. It's cool. It hooks you up with all the different travel stuff, but it's a nice little addition to the family.
That is cool. Yeah, well, that'd be great for doing conferences or seminars. You could kind of figure out which cities are easier to get to at certain times of the year and things like that. That would be a useful utility to get that going, because it seems like travel is always such a huge part of any kind of events when you're trying to get that straight. So.
Yeah, totally.
All right, let's see. CMO, on the list.
Oh, so marketing charts. Our friends over at Marketing Charts showed that CMOs say that they love analytics. It's the hot thing. But when they are asked as to what percentage of them are actually using analytics and what percentage of them are have allocated budget and things, that the numbers are not so good. So according to the most recent chart, the percentage of projects using marketing analytics has actually declined since February 2012, when it was 37% of projects, down to a mere 29%. This data from Marketing Charts, I'm trying to find the original source here. Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. So the bottom line is, CMOs not necessarily walking the talk here.
Yeah, that's unsurprising there. It's, Scott Monty has posted on a couple of different posts over the past few weeks the Chevy Chase meme of, I was told there would be no math.
Yes.
Which is kind of the approach for a lot of these guys. Yeah, and since you mentioned that, I have to do a moment of silence for Marketing Vox, which was shut down and rolled into Marketing Charts, that was kind of one of my go-to sources for great insider marketing content. And they rolled it into Marketing Charts, and I hate to say, after a couple of weeks of Marketing Charts, I was, again, feeling sorry for the death of Marketing Vox, because the charts are great. It's interesting data, but I just have that feeling of the USA Today-ifying of my inbox, getting pie charts sent to you. But not to complain more, I will just move on to the Apple Watch. Now, this was interesting. Tons of rumors going around, but one I saw that was that the top-of-the-line Apple Watch will run $12,000. They're trying to make a full luxury play, and of course, my point was, well, that's cool when it was a Rolex for $12,000 and you could pass it to your grandchildren, but seeing as my iPad 1 is basically a doorstop after 5 years, kind of a different take on that. Have you been watching anything with the watch? Anything you're thinking about there?
I will probably go and get the base level model when it comes out, but there are people who have that kind of money, who can afford to blow that kind of money, so they will get it as a status thing. You'll probably see it on the wrists of various celebrities and things like that, because these are the same folks who will spend $14,000 on a shirt. So it's not unexpected, and Apple would be foolish to not have a status symbol version.
Yeah, that is a good point. I hadn't thought of that. If they keep their same approach on great usability and great products, but then they just slap out one there with a times 1,000 price point, for the ones born every minute who will buy it, then good deal. So.
If I remember correctly, way back in the day when the iPod was really ramping up, Apple missed the opportunity. Somebody made a 24-karat gold-plated iPod with diamond encrusted rims and stuff like that. And it was some obscene amount of money. And the 1% crowd was buying them. So I think Apple sort of nipping it in the bud, saying you can buy the deluxe straight from the source.
Oh, that reminds me, talking about audio and juiced iPods and things like that. I'll have a link in the show notes to a post that I recently did. I just kind of did my quarterly update on audio stuff, and I found an interesting app that is optimized for the Apple EarPods. The EarPods that you get when you get an iPhone or an iPod that a lot of audiophiles kind of chuckle and usually throw them away. But a digital converter was set up. The DAC was made by these guys who do audio tuning for like Rolls-Royce and for Jaguar and these high-end custom car companies, because what you can do is if you know the exact speaker and the player, you can actually create custom software just for that device. And one of the interesting things that amazed me was that it actually, the big thing is there are certain areas on the sound spectrum that cheap equipment can't do. Well, you can pull those out, so you actually get less bad sound.
Huh.
And so for basically $3, you get this app called Dirac, and if you're using the cheapo earbuds, they actually sound fantastic. I put them toe-to-toe against earbuds that cost like $140, $150, and they easily go toe-to-toe with them. So, and it does have an A/B switch on it too. So while the app is running, you can actually switch back and forth to hear the sound difference. The downside, what sucks, is that it's only a media player, so it actually swaps out for the music app. And so when you're watching movies or other apps that use sound, it doesn't work. It doesn't apply. So, but just an interesting thing about how the right software can completely change the sound stage and make your cheap gear sound good. And of course, then the reverse. You know, people getting fleeced all the time in audiophile level gear as far as gold-plated cables and the like that, you know, just taking your money and running with it. So, now you had a chance to hang out with the Youth of America over in Bentley. How did that go?
It went okay, actually. It was a fun talk. I did sort of an abridged, appropriately scaled version of the Marketing Blue Belt talk, which really the book was intended for, like, you know, C-level executives and VPs of marketing and stuff. So some of the examples and things wouldn't necessarily resonate with kids who've not had a chance to work in the world yet. But the basic concepts and things were fun. I was a guest of C.C. Chapman, and the big thing that came out, which I thought was a really insightful set of questions, was, you know, what are the 3 skills that any employee would want out of a new marketing graduate, and the 3 I came up with, obviously, is to your comment about it was my understanding there would be no math. Well, that's marketing today, so there will be math, and it would be an expectation that you have the ability to do data analysis. You don't have to be a data scientist, but you had better have passed, you know, Stats 101. The second is the ability to think creatively, because schools do a really good job of pounding that out of people, and the irony is, once you get into the real working world, creativity is pretty much your ace in the hole. And the third one is the ability to write. There is the ability to technically put words together on a page, and then there's the ability to write in a way that is compelling and persuasive. It's been my experience, most business people, most business schools, most business students write in sort of I would call it the Big 5 consulting writing style, which is maybe as obscure, obtuse, and verbose as possible to hide the fact that you don't actually know anything. And the opposite is really what you need to make your content stand out. So the ability to write intelligently, and that's kind of the 3 big things. What about you? What do you, when you're looking at you know, fresh off the boat new hires and stuff? What are you looking for?
Oh, it's tough. You know, it's funny. You did mention writing style. That is a big deal. You know, people get trained for page count as they come out of college, and that's not the case. It needs to be clean and lean. But I don't know. I've gone to the other extreme. I used to hire for talent and try and figure out who will play and who won't. But the real thing is to have your team set up so that you always have a couple of entry-level slots at the bottom, 2 or 3. And basically a monkey could do these jobs because everything is completely spelled out to a T. But by giving people just jobs, and it's just the big thing of, like, can they show up on time for 6 months straight? Can they, you know, handle a lot of stuff on their plate? And then after getting 6 months of road time, you're able to kind of figure out, okay, this person has a lot more potential than that person. And
it's like try before you buy kind of thing.
It totally is. Yeah, there's been some stuff Google has leaked about this, of them studying, and basically the interview process is completely garbage. You know, it's completely useless. The only thing that they found was there were cases where if somebody is, you know, if you're an expert in a software language, you can in an interview smell out who's really good and who's faking it. You know, you can give them some code samples or have them find the bug or whatever. But then everything else, as far as, you know, how many watermelons would it take to fill Yankee Stadium, and, you know, all this stupid interview stuff, none of it has any direct correlation to if they're good employees and do a good job. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, for marketing stuff, the other two tips I shared is when we're vetting resumes for marketing, the first thing to look for is a LinkedIn profile. If there's no LinkedIn profile, you don't understand modern marketing, goodbye. And the second is, on your LinkedIn profile, do you have at least one legit recommendation? Not an endorsement, which is, a cat could do, but an actual written recommendation by someone who you've done work for. And again, if you don't have the good sense to at least go get one recommendation, even if it's like at a nonprofit you volunteered at for a day, you probably are not going to be a good fit for modern marketing.
Those are great tips, and that's why coming up soon, I was talking with the folks at G2 Crowd, and they have some interesting stuff about having that LinkedIn profile attached to your digital footprint just gives you huge advantage over the rest of the world. And so that's a great point. If people don't get that, they don't deserve to be on. I have to mention here, we know firsthand that when you're starting a new business, finding a place to get your logo design can be a challenge. You can use Cousin Eddie, but of course that gets real uncomfortable real fast most of the time, thanks to his drinking and other problems. And at this stage in the gauge, and I blew it too. All right, that's the video folks get the inside outtakes. And at this stage in the game, you don't have the funds to hire an agency. We've discovered an easy way to get a great design. It's called 99 Designs, and it's the world's largest online marketplace for graphic design. Here's how it works. You start by telling them what you need in a simple online brief, and then designers from around the world begin submitting designs, and you provide them with feedback to refine the concepts. In just 7 days, you get to pick your favorite design and start using it right away. If you're launching a new company, 99 Designs is your answer for quality graphic design at an affordable price. Right now, when you start your next design project at 99designs.com/MOC, you'll get a $99 upgrade added on for free. So check that out. We appreciate their support of the show here for Q1. Glad to have them on board.
And you can actually use them if you look around the site. Not only can they do like logos and stuff, but they can do all kinds of business stuff, including helping you make your resume look less awful.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. The big thing is it's just quick, easy, and the price is right. If you are on a budget, that's fine. If you're redesigning your corporate logo, that's then you need to do the stakes are high.
Right.
Or even for campaigns too. If you're just banging out an A/B test and you want a fresh look because you're tired of the in-house look, go ahead and throw that out there. So let's see. I wanted to mention a product that over at Event Hero, Gadget Boy John Federico is always checking out the latest, greatest tools. He may be as addicted as you are, in fact, to combing through the work pile. But we found this tool, Lucky Orange, which is a web analytics tool that basically does full recordings of web sessions. You put the JavaScript on your site, and then you can actually replay any session. So instead of, in Google Analytics trying to figure out what page flow is, you just sit there and watch the movie. And one thing that blew me away this week, where it totally shocked me, was it also, of course, overlays the how the responsive design is doing. So if somebody's on their phone, when you're watching their session on your computer, you see a small window, so you actually see what they are seeing. And we found some areas where like tables were malformed because there was something wrong with the template. And to actually see it, like you've recorded it on the DVR, you can fast forward, rewind, and watch everything happen. Very cool next generation tool. So I'll throw that out there. We'll throw a link in the show notes to that so folks can check it. And of course, this is a great time to plug the fact that if you're subscribed to the newsletter, you would just get these email links sent to you. You don't have to remember and go back to the computer, which nobody ever does anyways. So that's the story there. On the coffee front, Rogers Family, we've talked a few months back. In fact, you got picked up in the New York Times about the Starbucks coffee story and big data. But for Keurig doing this DRM thing, these latest machines now only brew the pods that are branded with the right foil label on top. Rogers Family, and I'll link to this, you can actually go there. You've probably seen they do their San Francisco Bay Coffee, I think is the name of it, but it's sold in the warehouse clubs. They have, if you go online to their site, you can get a free clip that will snap into your new Keurig and defeat the DRM so you can brew their coffee cup. So yeah, it's a great program. I'm excited. I signed up for it, so we'll follow up and see how it goes. But yeah, they seem to do it all right. It's free to do. You just do it. They do confirm your email. I've got to imagine that when I get it, there'll be some coupons for their coffee. I would be surprised if there's not. And of course, they've got my email address, so you got to give them points for that. So
that's awesome.
Good stuff there. And then on one other coffee related to, we don't throw these out too often, but Comedian Cars Getting Coffee, Jon Stewart talking about his love of iced coffee, which is what I usually have at the desk here with me every time I record. So I'll throw that link out there for folks that want to laugh. Let's see. What else on the rundown? Anything else on your side?
Nothing significant. We had, it's been a busy week. Facebook just implemented suicide detection stuff that will let your friends help sort of intervene or notify somebody, which is, I think, a nice, important thing. And it's Social Media Week in New York City, so I know a lot of folks are headed down that way to do some speaking and stuff. I will not be participating because I have a pile of work that seems to get ever higher on my desk here, and if only I had like a secure e-signing capability, I could reduce the pile here.
You can make that. It's funny you mentioned that because you can accelerate key elements of your sales and marketing processes by securely e-signing with Nitro Cloud on a computer, phone, or tablet. Whether you manage invoices, quotes, or purchase orders, replacing the friction of time-consuming paper-based processes like printing, scanning, and faxing with Nitro Cloud, e-signatures lets your team fast-track sales agreements, respond to requests in real time, and ultimately delight your customers. You can sign up for a free team demo of Nitro Cloud. If you go to www.gonitro.com/MOC, you'll be entered to win a pair of QC25 a free pair of Bose QC25 noise-canceling headphones, which are the traveler's favorite. And yeah, it's just, I see it over and over again. Oh yeah, so this is, I forgot to mention this when you were talking about Google going into town, and of course this Nitro making business easier. Google actually came out and said, if you want things to work better in your town, and if you want Google Fiber to show up, make it easy. So ditch the fax machine was what they said, and just to drive it home for me personally, they said, because if you don't, well, enjoy your Time Warner cable.
Nice.
And I was like,
Google is optimizing your town. That's awesome.
They're basically saying make it easier and make it better to work. And so yeah, thanks of course to the folks at Nitro Cloud. Their product fantastic for getting paperwork through the cycle. If you're just sick of sending documents back and forth and faxing and all that stuff, being able to approve stuff on your phone and get deals closed faster is what we're all about. And yeah, Google Fiber, I'll again pitch for Williamstown, Massachusetts. We're ready for you. We should probably build a welcome center. I should do some kind of campaign to get them on board. With Marketing Over Coffee Awards, nominations are closed, and so I just haven't had a chance to dig through and put the final stamp on the winners, but we'll have those. Of course, I say we'll have those for next week. I have to think about the schedule. We've got a bunch of great stuff in the pipe. We've got Nick Westergaard, who you just heard last week, but will happen tomorrow, thanks to this terrible time-shifting thing. But some great stuff on the future of movies coming up. Tim Street set me up with a great interview with Ted Shilowitz, who's talking about movie theaters in the round, where it's actually 270 degrees theater. And this is stuff that they're shooting to get out by the end of the year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great cutting-edge stuff. So plenty of great interviews coming up. How about, Rode, you're skipping out on New York. Are you going to be you going to San Diego for Social Media Examiner?
Yep, I'll be at Social Media Marketing World. That will be a lot of fun. Actually, we'll be on the keynote panel on day 2 with Guy Kawasaki and Mari Smith. We're going to talk about is social killing content kind of stuff. It'll be fun.
Cool, that sounds good. Well, I'm going to get back to cold weather and shoveling here to all you ne'er-do-wells out there. Thanks for paying attention this week. We appreciate it. You can catch up with us over on the LinkedIn group or give us a Stitcher review, and that'll do it for this week. Until then, enjoy the coffee.
Enjoy the coffee.